I don't know why, but you were watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
Beyond the world we know is a place where reality bends and time stands still. A place where legends, fairy tales, and nightmares are real. A world where legends are born and destinies collide. Alice has spent her life lost in an interdimensional rift known as Wonderland, and it forged her into a deadly bounty hunter. With her ancient clockwork guardian Big Ten by her side, they hunt the things that stalk the shadows of Wonderland. Alice Lost in Wonderland, issues 1 and 2 launch May 6 on Kickstarter. Follow along at GoMrFish.com.
We launched that one yesterday. Go check it out. Go check it out, people. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Lyndon Garner.
Yo. Yeah. What up, folks?
What's up, buddy?
We are here again today.
Hello, Princess Yukix.
Hello. So what are we doing today? Well, I'll tell you what we're doing today. We are working on getting some things together because I am super tired. Let's see here now. Going over my script here. Let's see. For a book called Oz, A Nightmare in Emerald. And let me just change that window. And I'm playing around with some different ways to display stuff. So if it gets stupid, just bear with me.
Since most of us probably won't have any idea what you're doing anyway, it will never appear stupid. It'll always appear like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but I often admit when I'm being a dipshit. So this is the script for issue number 2 of a book called Oz, A Nightmare in Emerald. And one of the things that is funny about working with different people is that scripts, so I've worked in the last year with about 5 different writers, and I've gotten 5 completely different script formats every time. And actually the script on this one wasn't in this format. I actually reformatted from what they gave me to something that was just a little easier for me to parse out. So this has actually been filtered through my process of breaking down a script. So I do like this particular method where, so, you know, there's your page number, and then there's a summary of what you're going to find on that page. And I like having that little summary there, because then I get my head in the right place for what all's coming up.
Right.
So I'm right now, I'm going through this book. I'm on page 14 doing layouts. And I'm going through and doing all the layouts on this book before I go back through and start actually drawing the pages. So right now we've got, let's see, this is most of the pages in this book are about 4 panels a page. There's a couple here and there that I actually expanded and added panels, because something writers do all the time. All the time. I have not met a writer yet who doesn't do this. Is they will say panel 1, this person person X walks across the room and then insert some action, walks across the room and picks up a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
that's
okay,
2 panels, right? That's 2 panels.
Yeah. And I tell writers this all the time. I'm like, if you're writing a panel description and the word "and" comes up, that's a new panel. That's a new panel. As soon as you're like, oh, well, this person does this, and then cut, new panel.
Yeah.
Every time, without fail.
And I'm not an artist or a writer or a creator, and I see that. I mean,
I think most writers get carried away with the process of writing, and they're just thinking about stuff that happens and writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this is something that, so
if they want swoosh motion behind dude after as he's picking up the hat, so it looks like he came across the room, that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
You know? Because he's already doing the second action of picking up the hat. So the swoosh marks behind him would be gone. Right?
There's kind of an ongoing, I don't know if I call it a conversation or a debate, but there's an ongoing theme that I catch from writers a lot, talking amongst themselves, talking with artists, talking all over the place, about the roles of writer and artist in comics. And it's interesting to me, you know, that I've had some writers who are absolutely hell-bent that as the artist, your job is to do exactly what they tell you to, nothing more, nothing less, alter thing, all that kind of stuff. Some writers are like that, and very, very few of them actually write in a way where that's what the artist can do. And most artists are going to pull their hair out trying to satisfy that. So, you know, there's a whole ball of wax to be had there about how much, let's say, you know, the writer initiates the entire process. Yes. Then the artist gets it. And, you know, like I was watching the stream yesterday with my buddy Rich, and there was a moment I wished I would have been like, no, dude, because he was talking about the writer being like a director.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would disagree with that. I would say the writer in comics is like a writer in films. Like the writer's a writer.
Yeah.
The artist in comics has to be like the director of photography, the cameraman, the lighting guy, like all of these things that go into bringing that image to life are on the shoulders of the artist.
Yeah.
And so there's a, you know, there's a relationship that has to happen between a writer and an artist. And funny enough, I mean, I think Rich and I have a relationship like that. I know Dirk Manning and I have that relationship. I will work with Dirk forever. I love him. His scripts are some of the best that I've seen. And he's one of the few writers who very rarely makes some of the mistakes that I call out, as general mistakes from writers. Dirk, like, he's got a book out called Right, W-R-I-T-E, Right or Wrong, that's all about writing for comics. And I think everyone who writes comics should have that book. I think for writers, that book is almost as foundational as Comics and Sequential Art or Understanding Comics from Scott McCloud.
Yeah.
And Dirk, if you're watching, there you go. There's my plug for you for the day. But
have you seen the one Dirk book? The one Dirk book that I have.
Which one?
Ooh, let me go pull it out. It's a special one. It's not like anything recent. I went to, you know me, I go talk to my guys, right, when I see him. And when me and Brad went up to his table, we did a little short interview, a little short spot for us for the network. And then he was like, "You can have anything in that box for half off." And I was like, "Really? Anything in that box?" Yeah, anything in that box. All right. And, you know me. I'm not going to buy the book that everybody else buys, right? I'm a collector. I'm going to find something that is Dirk, but it's, not what everybody else is going to get. So this is the one I got.
Let me pop back
this
over
was
here.
A subscription only, the Uncanny ad free. And if you look at the names here, you'll see Arn Anderson, and right,
nice.
Wrestlers, bud, old school wrestlers, right? And of course, he signed it for me. Oh, dude, look, that's awesome, dude. It's got oh man, I ain't got my glasses on.
That's funny because the first thing that I ever had published that I worked on with Dirk was his biopic of Tony Schiavone called
Butts and Seats. Yeah.
I did a 10-page chapter of that about Tony and his family.
Well, see, that's what I was going to get. And then I saw this one, but this has Kurt Angle, Mike Chioda, Eric Bischoff, Jim Ross, right? It's got all these names, right? From old school wrestling, man. And I was like, as much as I wanted to grab Butts and Seats, this one got my attention even more. So this is the one I walked away from this table with. But dude, look, Dirk is fun. I don't know if you guys ever seen any of the spots we've done with Dirk. He is hilarious. He is fun. We did the first time he did a spot for us. He went through this 30-second spiel, and you know how Dirk talks. Dirk talks fast, right? A lot of words in that 30 seconds. He gets to the end, and he said Madness Comic or Madness Network or Comic Madness Network or something. He said it wrong, right? So he had to do the whole thing over again. He didn't have to, but he did. He did the whole freaking thing over again and then said it right. And the guy in the next booth, you could see him in the background, and he was just giggling, right? But he's looking down at his phone. And I used that guy as an example for people of how to act and how not to act at a con. You got Dirk, he's standing up, he's all excited, he's animated, he's a personality, and then you got the guy sitting next to him looking down at his phone and not even looking around at the people walking by his table.
Oh yeah.
How to act and how not to act at a Comic-Con.
This is true. This is very true.
I don't think Dirk sits down.
Not much.
All fucking weekend, I don't think he sits down, man. That dude, he's up, he's animated, he's dressed nice, I mean.
Oh yeah.
Dude, he has a very good presentation. And that's why he sells books, guys. He fucking knows how to promote his stuff, what he's doing.
That's that's something he and I both agree on and try to do. You know, it's like when I'm doing a show, you know, it's important to me to be there and look professional and carry myself in a professional way for it. And you know, that's it's surprising to me how often that's not the case with people.
Yeah. And hello, Ashley. I see you pop in there. We were just doing the thing. I'm having a great day. Sounds like Les having a good day, and she wants to know what you're working on, Les.
Oh, I had actually started talking about it a minute ago. So I'm working on a page layout for Oz, and let's see. So this is page 14. I've got my summary here, and then suggested panel layout. I like that word suggested, so I don't feel beholden to stick to it 100% because artists need leeway. You know, as an artist, when I am arting, I need to be left alone and do the thing the best that I can do. So let's see. Panel 1 is so here we've got Dorothy. Moment of terror, turns and yells out. So I've laid this page out. Let me hide the script here so you can see the page. I've went ahead and thrown out some panels, and I'm doing something here that I do a lot, is having a meta panel, and I'm over pronouncing the T because I hate saying meta. I hate it when it sounds like there's a D in there. I like enunciation. So in this meta panel, you know, that's a place for putting what is kind of an overarching part of the scene. So I will oftentimes, and on this page too, there's a little bit of action going on, and I'm going to have some off-kilter panels that kind of breaks that up. And in part because in this section of the book, things are getting kind of dicey, and there's threats and things happening. And as things start to get more chaotic, I will start to use angled panels and break things up. But then I like having that meta panel behind it where you'll be able to see bits of that artwork behind these other panels. And I don't know, to me, it just reinforces this is the setting that you're in.
Right.
So I always like doing that kind of thing. And then here, like right now, I'm just doing breakdowns. So in this moment, Dorothy turns and screams. So I need to take my pencil here. And so I'm going to have Dorothy here, and I've got kind of a visual shorthand that I use. It's really not, I'm not doing tight pencils where I can tell what the angles are on characters and things. Like that's pretty obviously an upshot of her. And then she's going to be her mouth open, boom. And then I will rough the characters in kind of enough that I can tell in the thumbnails which characters they are. Okay. So she's turned, and I'm going to angle her shoulders this way and then turn her back. Here's her hips. And then we're going to have, let's do, so we'll have her legs like this, which with her dress kind of presents this neat shape that you can play with a lot. Dresses are good like that. So here we'll have, there's the arc of her hips, and then kind of follow that little hourglass shape there. And just reinforcing a lot of this. This is actually a little tighter than I do most of the time. But So here we've got effectively a knee here. And I might actually go ahead and do a panel break on this. So we got her knee here. And I really advise people to draw, I call it drawing through when you're doing your layouts. If you go ahead and draw through, then you can kind of see where you're at with things. Because you could only draw what's of the character inside the panel, but you're not following your form and anatomy all the way out. So it may seem right, and then later you'll look at it and go, oh my God, what have I done? And it's because you didn't draw through. So if you draw through, you can get proportions and things down and really, get the stuff looking right. And drawing through also helps you a lot of times because you'll see opportunities for a panel break. And I like panel breaks when they're appropriate. I don't like them when they're not appropriate. And that's a whole subject. It's like, when is it appropriate to do a panel break? But so like here, I'm probably not going to keep that panel break, but I've got it here for the sake of the drawing. So let's go in here.
Okay, you got a couple questions here. Ashley says, do panels ever break into each other in chaotic scenes, or do you keep the panels pretty tight and focused on the scene? And if you do, is there a correct order for breaking?
Like right here, this one, I'm probably going to have it break over. And it's just, I typically won't have them break each other by a lot because, I mean, it just depends. There are times when that's okay. And it really is a judgment call on an individual case basis.
Okay.
And then I do have a bit of a pattern for the order that panels go in if I'm doing breaks. And that pattern is kind of like this. Like if I start over here, okay, and I have a later panel break that one, then if I want another panel to break, see how these overlap like this, like I would not put this panel back behind this panel because I think that confuses the presentation of the sequence of time. And that's something that I'm very hyper aware of because, you know, when you're laying out a comic book page, you are, let me turn the compressor off. The way that you lay out the page tells the reader, whether they realize it or not, how important each moment depicted on the page is and how much time, basically how much time should be spent in that moment. And it's how long you're going to look at it. I mean, like a big full page spread, you take a long time and you pour over it and you look at it a lot. You know, smaller panels are quick moments that go by quickly. So like here, you know, I've got this moment that literally cuts through everything. It's this tall panel that slices through the entire image like that. And that's a piercing moment. Then there's the meta panel that is where everything is headed to next. And then the two pieces of action remaining on the page. So there's to me, a lot of like the art of drawing comics, of course, has a lot to do with drawing. You don't draw comics if you can't draw. But you could take stick figures or bloopy cartoony stuff or some really rudimentary drawings, but have very sophisticated page layout and pacing and understand the visual language of comics and still tell a good story. So that's something I pay a ton of attention to, is that the pacing and the layout. So it's kind of a bigger question to be answered than you might think at first. So, and at this point, I'm not going to stress at all on the quality of the drawing. Really don't care an ounce about the quality of drawing. It's all about getting staging built and deciding, helping me pre-plan certain choices artistically. So, and then here, I think this is going to be a good place for some foreshortening. So then we're going to have her hand. And that hand is definitely going to break the panel. So this is her being alarmed by something. And then come through here. And I may end up pulling this panel in a little bit. Let's change that arm so that I'm not, because this arm is going to get the dotted line on my template there is where the trim of the page goes. So I know that arm would get cut off right there. So I'm going to play with the perspective a little bit and my foreshortening there, and basically just give myself some visual notes for that. And when the time comes, of course, I'm going to iron it all out and make it a really good drawing. But for right now, this is going to give me what I need. So that arm's going to pass behind her. And then I'm going to go right here. And just a little thing there that shows her hands. Let's see. And I might, thinking about, I'm going to move her up a little bit so that I can then show other characters behind her. Oh, no, babe, I'm good. Thank you, though. I got some coffee. I'm doing the show. It's all good. It was the usual weekly pop-in from my lovely wife. So, then go. It's a visual cue to do this little tricksy thing of kind of faking the floor in perspective there. So then there's two other characters in the scene, but one of them is kind of out of the shot right now. So I might just play with altering that a little bit so that there's a little more space there for a character. Okay. And then from there, pull this knee back this way so that we still get her foot in the shot. Okay. Now then, we've got this character back here. Who is gesturing to this window outside of which Dorothy has just seen something terrible. Let's bring that one down. And then we'll have it right here. And again, you know, this is rudimentary drawing, but just filling stuff in. And then this lady's got this crazy dress. So I'll just give myself a cue that that dress should be right in there. I think I'm going to close up this panel space just a little bit. Bring it inside the page a little bit more so that it makes Dorothy feel a little bit confined. And then helps reinforce the position of that in time. So then okay. Then I need a couple of just visual notes right here that this is by a window and there are these giant heavy drapes right here. Then we would have a little bit of the ceiling, maybe the light fixture at the top of the ceiling, but I know is there. So, okay. From there, bring in this window. Oh, okay. So that's pretty much got that panel roughed out. Let's go ahead, knock that back a little bit. My rule for layouts is basically, you know, it should be drawn just enough that I can look at my little chicken scratches next to the script and be able to tell what's there. You know, and theoretically, you know, if your characters have good silhouettes in their design, then your thumbnail drawings will end up, you'll probably be able to end up telling everything that's going on just from the little stick figures put in there and from the roughs. So now let's go see what was in panel number 2. I may change my layout a little bit. So number 2 is a shot of Glinda, who is not good in this. And let's see, it's a shot of Glinda. Then number 3, she steps forward, gesturing to her servants. So panel 2, I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to change this because when I was doing the initial layout, it was not. I read it and it was mistaken. Excuse me. So let's cut that one out. Do this one like this. And then I'm going to add a new panel right here. Okay. Put that down behind there. And this one is going to stretch on up like that. So it's like here to here to here to here. So so here, instead of having it come from this to panels going forward, now it goes from this to panels going into the distance somewhat. That's how I think of the layering of them. And I try to keep my layers actually following that, you know, that sort of order so that it makes sense when I'm going through and doing an edit or whatever. So then just pull this guy over here. I don't want those to break like that. Now this one, this can actually be a really tight shot because it's a close-up of Glenda. And she's kind of the bad guy in this moment. So I'm going to do a little zoomy zoom. Little zoom in on her for a tight close-up. Transform tools are probably the biggest reason I prefer to do all my pencils digital nowadays. So that I can just grab things like that and be able to manipulate my page, my layouts and stuff on the fly. And really tweak everything out.
I heard that.
Oh, dude. I am so stinking tired, man.
Yeah, don't get me started, bro. I'll be yawning too. I'm pretty much on 19-hour days right now. And probably for the rest of the week.
I understand that.
It's like I'm going to go right from this show into a meeting, right from that into packing up and going somewhere else and setting back up and doing another show. You know, it's like, yeah.
Such is the life.
I think we've added 5 new shows to the network in the last 3 days that people will be seeing if they haven't already seen.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
It's, you know, it is what it is. We're going to get this thing rolling up on Roku, and then, you know, I'll be able to relax a little bit then because it won't be the YouTube channel and the schedule and everything. Everybody will do their own thing and would just upload their content to Roku after their show. You know, you still do your draw stream right here or wherever you want to broadcast it to, and then as soon as it's over, then we upload it to Roku. That's all. You know.
Nice.
I would suggest that people like put the show behind the private or a paywall on Roku or on YouTube after that, and direct traffic to Roku, so you do make money off every view, right? Or every time somebody watches it, you do make money off it. That's the whole purpose, is helping these people that are not monetized to be monetized. You know, YouTube ain't our friend when it gets a long ass grind to get to monetization, and then they just steal money from us left and right. It ain't even funny. So, you know, I'd rather do it on Roku, keep track of the analytics, know what the analytics are, not what YouTube wants you to see, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So now I've got to think about, she's got a couple of henchmen that come out at this point. So I'm going to have one of them kind of in the extreme foreground here. And
Arlo Comics, that's Dan Sen. He's in the chat. He said, this looks good. He's encountered a few artists who prioritize the visuals over the storytelling, where the panel reading order isn't clear, but we hammer that out in the layouts. No such problem here.
Thank you. That's a very big deal to me.
Yeah.
So let's see. That arm is going to go off page a little bit. Let's go down here with it. And so it's always funny because the actual drawing going on at this stage is usually garbage. But you know, it's like having an image download back in the day on a slow modem. You know, it's like starting with these broad.
Start at the top, it goes down pixel by pixel.
or the progressive images from back then where it would give you like there'd be these big squares for all the pixels, and then the squares would get smaller and you'd end up having more pixels and more pixels.
Yes.
And as it refines, and that's actually a good analogy to how I approach drawing most of the time. Is I start with a lot of scribbles, and the scribbles are kind of like me making a low resolution mess that then starts to kind of clear itself up as I get going.
Right. I said, don't do that.
Oh man. Let's see.
Drink some of that coffee. Take a break. Take a drink.
Yeah. Well, I just ran out. I'm out of my coffee.
Honey.
Yep. Let's see. So in here, I'm going to draw through again because I think I can show a little more about the character's movement. No, I'm not. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come grab this panel and we're going to go with another. I'm going to change this completely here. And we're going to put this one above there. So, oof. Let's take this guy right here. So now that I made that change, this is a good little thing to point out. You notice I just cleared off some from that panel so that it wasn't breaking this. So if I had content from this panel right here breaking this panel, it's going to confuse your eyes on the panel order on the page. So you don't want to do that. So now then I can focus on getting this stuff in here so that this character is more effectively running, because that's what's going on. She's calling out some henchmen to have them running after Dorothy and whatnot. So, and let's take that. Let's see. Get rid of that because that panel comes after that. Oh, there it goes again. I knew this was going to happen. I have fought this all day. So now I think here we've got an opportunity to actually make this a little better by making this character larger so they're more in the foreground. So this guy is leading the pack. Okay. So having the different sizes of the characters is, I think, really important. And so here I've got this guy, the attitude of this character is going this way with his posture. Like his shoulder line is here. Shoulder line's here. Spinal line is there. So that's indicating movement. And that spinal line is driving your eye. So okay, this guy
is the stuff in the border going to be washed out of the page, or?
I will draw that all the way to the edge, and the little dotted line right there is where the page gets trimmed. So some of it will get lost, but okay. I don't mind that.
I just was wondering if there's a border that you can't go outside of before. And then what about like the side of the page of the binding? Do you give more room on the binding side than you do on the open side?
typically, typically the amount of space that you leave for bleed is good enough for binding. Although you do want to kind of stay. So, like if you look at my template, the template that I have for my pages, the inner dotted line is the quote unquote live area. That's where the most important content needs to be. Okay. So anything between there and that hard line may get, is going to have a little, wouldn't say a stretch, but that's going to fall toward the center of the book. So that's going to drift away. Out here, if it were to the other side, it would be that case. And then everything outside the outer line, the outer dotted line, is trim. So that just literally just goes away.
Okay.
So you've got basically live area, a hard border, and then your trim line. So like this character right here, some of him is going to get cut off, but it's actually a choice that I make a lot, is to have stuff trail off, because when things trail off the edge of the page, it makes the content of that drawing seem more expansive. It tells the reader there's a lot more to this that you're maybe not even able to see.
Right. Okay.
So, and it's some people would say it's a waste, but I disagree. I think that it's a calculated choice in how you're telling the story. So this guy right here, I'm going to have him in have an oppositional action line from the shoulders. Okay. And then he's going to go there. Excuse me. And I've always enjoyed drawing in this sort of scribbly kind of way. Let's play with that a little bit, because there, floor. Okay, I like that a little bit better. And then the angle that I've chosen for all of this also plays into how, like, see in this first panel, the first character who speaks on the page is the lady back here. She speaks and Dorothy responds screaming and turning to run away. So speak, respond, and the hand, the hand and her eye line point you out and up to the next panel, like that. So start here, speak, drive up here. Then notice how I've chosen for her eye line to come back this way. That sends you back here. Then you pick her up again here, and you've got these little fellers that are, there's like multiple aspects of them that drive you on down to that last panel. Part of the art of doing a comic book page is you're actually very limited, because you want to do the Z layout across the page, cross, back, and across. You want that Z every chance you can get. So where you have to be creative is in figuring out ways to get it, and how to position your content on the page so that it leads the eye through it in that way, and then takes it, leads it right on to where it needs to go next. So I'm just gonna and I really like drawing in this bloopy, silly sort of way at first, and then I'll build it up with little blocks and things. And I'm thinking that she is going to need to be kind of approached a little differently here. Let's take this guy and move him a little more into the foreground. So
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to let you go take a nap, bro.
oh, dude, I need my nap time. I'm getting old.
I think we're gonna have to let you go take a nap, man.
So here we go. Now then, where is she gonna be at? She's gonna be in here, kind of in this posture where she is screaming. She's being an angry old bat. And here's where we're going to get a panel break. See that coming. So I'm going to have her.
What's up? What's up, Dustin? What's happening?
Here. And we're going to break this panel right here. Like that. Yeah, that's a good place for a panel break. Okay, there's that. And that ties it all together quite nicely, I think.
Dustin wants to know how you been, Les. How you been, Les?
Freakishly overworked, but otherwise pretty good. And the overworking that I'm going through is the relaunch of Brides. So, you know, without getting into any of the details of why, you know, Brides was canceled in its initial Kickstarter, and we've stepped back to relaunch it, which will happen this Saturday. We're actually going to be doing a live presentation from FrankenCon in Knoxville, where we will be launching. And we did an ash can, 50 copies of an ash can, where you could catch some of the writing and you know, really get a feel for what the book's about. And we had 30 of those got pre-sold already through Nirvana Comics in Knoxville. And like literally as soon as it was announced that we were doing those, the ash cans, 30 of them sold out. Actually, 32 of them total sold out. Then they're signed and numbered, and so number 1 of 50 is going to be raffled at FrankenCon, and tickets for that can be bought through. You can get with me personally, or you can look up a gentleman named McKay from Nirvana Comics, or you can just reach out to Nirvana Comics in Knoxville. But
who was it last week said they'd buy me a ticket to the raffle? I can't remember who said it, but I know somebody did. I ain't gonna be there. Somebody said,
well, I can tell you right now that it's going to be interesting because I know we've already sold getting close to 300 tickets for that.
See, but I can't get there to get it, so I have to take it. You know, I have to take it.
Oh, you could buy a ticket and then we can mail it to you.
Yeah, that's it. But somebody said they were going to buy a ticket for me because I'm not going to be there to buy a ticket. thought it was Charles. It might have been Charles.
It might have been Charles.
Might have been Charles.
No, I don't like how her hip is turned right there. So let's get rid of that. Come back in here. Hip to go here and here.
Now, I believe this man right here, Mr. Sen from Argo Comics, we'll be spending some time with him tomorrow afternoon, I believe, if I can trust my schedule. Yeah, they'll be doing a little countdown of their own over there.
Nice.
Thunder Zone Comics tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern.
Good deal. Good deal.
Is it tomorrow or is it the 12th? No, it's the 12th, right? Yeah, the 12th. Man, see, I'm so messed up. Yeah, on the 12th, we will be counting down Thunder Zone Comics. Dan Sen. On the 12th at noon. I think that's Monday. So we won't have a Monday matinee, Dustin. We'll be doing a countdown instead. That's how we do it.
One other character that I'm going to put in the background here. And just slide her in here. Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
Yes, tomorrow we'll be doing some Slaughterville right here on the network.
Cool.
Not Slaughterville. We're playing Arkham Horror, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah. The RPG version on Roll20.
Now the last panel here is another reaction from Dorothy as she's running. So this one can kind of be a close-up of Dorothy. Which, I've got this weird pattern for how I draw faces a lot of times where instead of drawing the circle and following the Loomis method like everybody seems to do, I found this shape I could draw a long time ago that is like that. And then you connect it together and you'll see that shape a lot in cartoons. And I found that shape is a really good fast track to getting faces started. Oh God!
And that's it.
Can't stop yawning. I'm just really. Oh Lord! So then we're gonna do one more panel break right here.
Well, it is that time, dude. I'm going to let you take your nap.
It's nap time. Hey, folks! Before we sign off, let's do the quick roundup here. So, I think I put it in the chat. The URL for brides. So that's a thing, and if you folks would please go sign up for that. I promise this is not going to be a false start like last time was. So this will be a really good thing. I think this book is personally, I think it's definitely my best work yet. I mean, I'll end up saying that again after Oz is done, though, because Oz after Brides and is going to be pretty baller. But yeah, I'm very happy with Brides. I think it's some of my best work as far as art and writing goes, and would really appreciate it if you folks would come support it.
Yeah, do that. Do that, Pete.
So there you go. All right. And there we've got a page layout. So, and I'll save that. And then I have a key command I've made. Shift in goes to the next page in the story. So it's one of the things I like about Clip Studio is I'll have all the pages for a book already set up in a project. And then when I'm drawing, it's like whatever I'm doing on that page, okay, I'm done, shift in, next page pops up, just hit it and keep going.
Right.
So yeah, it makes it a quick process. Helps me get through stuff really, really fast.
Right.
So I think that's going to take care of it for today. So folks, everybody who hung out, thank you for being here. We'll catch you next week. Hope I see you signing up on the Brides Kickstarter. Till then, Pops, you can take us out, man.
All right. Good to see you, Les. I will see you next week, my friend. Peace.
There we go.
In the heart of a major city, in a place raised to honor Earth's past protectors, the world will again learn, sometimes, superpowered intrigue doesn't stop at the grave. Galaxy Memorial Park, Volume 1, beginning crowdfunding Memorial Day 2025.
I'm Man Ray from SpongeBob, and you're watching us on Madness Comic Network.
Little president in his sandbox play, build a tower, make it stay. Digging deep through the golden sand, building the future with your hands. Tiny suits and shiny shoes, making plans and making news. Friends all gather to join along, in the sandbox they all belong. Little president from that play, every day a brand new day. Learning, growing your own way, in the great big sandbox that is the USA. The USA. Share your dreams with everyone, sandbox fun under the sun. Big ideas taking flight, with Little Trump everything's bright. Dig a moat, build a wall, in the sandbox he stands so tall. Dreamer dream, builder build, Little Trump your heart's fulfilled. Little President Trump that play, every day a brand new day. Learning, growing your own way, in the great big sandbox that is the USA. Hooray, hooray, for the USA.
Eva, created to be the bride of Frankenstein, patchwork woman built from flesh, haunted by her impulsive nature, starving for something more, suffering from the aftermath of her uncontrollable impulses, She believed becoming a vampire would make her whole. And in the darkness of the deep Carpathian night, the brides were waiting. Brides is a gothic horror graphic novella, a story of bloody ambitions, broken bodies, and a woman who dares to remake herself. 40 pages of handcrafted art and sorrow, expanded to 64 with your help, variant covers, sculpted collectibles, and one beautiful, tragic monster you'll never forget. Won't you join me in reimagining classic Gothic horror by backing the relaunch of Brides here on Kickstarter?
That sucked. But we'll play it again later, people. Peace out.
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
Click on the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun.